Sebastian Maniscalco, Omar Dorsey. Very nice to meet you guys. How you guys doing today?
Doing
Right.
great, man. How you doing, Mike?
I am doing great. Really enjoyed season two. Definitely full of laughs. I kind of want to start off with Danny and Ray's personal lives. There seemed to be a lot more layers to them this season. How was it peeling back those emotions outside of their day job?
It was fun, man. Because this season really was one third of the season is at Danny's house, one third of the season is at Ray's house, one third of the season is at work. So, when Ray's grandma has to end up taking care of a man who only says one word, he only has one word that he says all day long, and then his baby mama comes in, finds out where he lives, and moves in, and they have a one night fling, and the next thing you know, all hell breaks loose. That made the whole episode even. I mean, the whole season just bring it more to life. That's what happens when you go to a season two. Season one, you establish who the characters are. Season two, you look at their whole lives.
Yeah, for me, it's like these guys aren't dealing with like normal problems. It's not like, oh, they lost their job at the Fortune 500 company. Like Danny's dealing with a murder suicide next door, and he's got his arch nemesis moving in to that house. So it's like the scenarios these guys find each other themselves in are crazy. I got my mother-in-law now living with me, making me lunch for when I go to work. So yeah, there's a personal life here that I think is just as interesting as, Danny and Ray going to Costa Rica to deal with offshore gambling site, and all that ensues down there. So yeah, it's nice to kind of play both of those scenarios.
Now, a lot of the great comedic moments and some of my favorite moments happen in the car between you two. When you guys are shooting those scenes, do you have any freedom to freestyle a bit? Because they seem so natural and organic between you two.
You know, we know the lines so well because we rehearse the lines so much that Sebastian said something earlier. He was like, we know it so well that we have room to play if we want to, but it's on the page. The dialogue is so great, man. It's Chuck and Nick. It's like their writing is top notch. Nick is one of my favorite writers, and Chuck is the greatest television writer, comedy wise ever. So it's like we don't have to do too much to it. We don't have to. But we run them so much. We run them the day before. If you have a weekend, we might call each other, run them. I run them with my wife. I know Sebastian runs it with his wife so that we feel free. It's a lot of dialogue, but we feel enough freedom because we know them so well.
This is how specific Chuck is. I'll say that's, and he'll go, it's that is. You're saying that. So he's very particular about the words that he writes, which I totally understand being a comedian. There's a certain cadence that needs to happen. And if there's a word that's slightly off in your head, that could screw up the comedic timing of the line. So there is room to play, but when you don't have to play, you don't have to play.
Now, I want to wrap up, and I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a WNBA All-Star Game bet in this season. What's the most obscure sports bet that you've heard of, either when doing some prep for your characters or people coming up to you on the street saying they relate to the show?
I think I've heard like the worst are the high school football teams. Like, why? This dude is flunking out of science. What are you doing, man? His mind is not on this game. His father just told him he's going to take him off the team if he doesn't get that GPA up to a 3.0. So those are the weird ones to me. I don't ever want to bet with children doing things because they got other things going on in life, man.
Oh, what the professional athletes don't have other things going on.
That's true.
Sebastian, have you heard of any, obscure ones?
The only ones I've heard is probably what everybody else hears, especially when the Super Bowl comes around. They got all those bets, those inside bets of like who's going to fumble first and who's going to do this. I just wanted to meet the people making those odds. I don't know how
Sure.
they come so close to this stuff, but it's amazing. And, when they set the spreads and how they are so dead on with it. It's crazy.
Well, I appreciate your time today. Really excited for people to see kind of this next chapter in Danny and Ray's story. Again, appreciate your time and hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.
All right.
You
Thank
too,
you.
brother. Thank you.
Chuck, it's very nice to meet you. Nick, nice to talk to you again.
Nice to see
Nice to
you.
see you.
So I'm excited for people to see this new chapter in the story of Danny and Ray. I want to start out with, sports gambling has really leapt into people's everyday lives, part of everybody's zeitgeist. What's your favorite sports betting trope that you kind of included in this season, or that you tried to, I guess, highlight?
I think taking them to the cleaners was something that we heard from a bookie that
Yeah.
we've talked to many bookies
Yes.
in the course of making the show, and once you
Yeah.
tell them we actually got it into this season.
Yeah, we had great conversations with a guy down in Alabama who had a nice lilt. And he said, we were always careful never to clean a guy out too fast. He said, we have a saying, we like to take a guy to the cleaners one shirt at a time, which is,
I I,
really
I
wonderful.
I love the accent as well. You pretty much nailed it on. Now, for both of you, a lot of your previous work, was for network TV, and there were certainly some things that may have had you had to hold back, for the audience. What do you enjoy most about creating a comedy like this for Max, where there's kind of like no red tape, essentially?
Well, it's exactly what you just said. There was a moment in time when we were writing season 2, where I don't know why it just struck me, and I said to Nick, "You realize we could do whatever we want. We have almost complete freedom, which is unnerving. It's unbalancing. Because in network television for decades, there were so many rules. There's so many restrictions, both in content and time. The show has to be a certain length. It has to have, God forbid that a bottle of Heinz ketchup is on camera. Someone has to turn the bottle so the word Heinz isn't seen. I mean, there's so much that goes on in restrictions to network television. And here we are in the streaming universe where there were virtually none. And the freedom of that was wonderful and frightening at the same time.
Nick, did you find that kind of freedom accelerating your creativity?
Yeah, I mean, it's let us, this just let us explore genre in a way that I think we always lusted for. I mean, we get to kill people. We get to have our characters are in a little bit of moral twilight, and that is where good things happen for characters. We don't have to worry about their, the likability. I think we do have really likable characters, but what's fun is when your characters screw up, and this gives us a big canvas for screw ups, and we had a blast.
Well, so I want to wrap up with sort of a meta question, if you will. Some of the guest stars this season include Everybody Loves Raymond, Ray Romano, and Brad Garrett. How would Ray Romano, the sports writer character, handle the sports gambling life being so close to the business? And would he still owe Danny and Ray a lot of money?
Oh, his character on Everybody Loves Raymond. Well, I think more importantly, we should talk about Ray.
Yeah, yeah.
He is not unfamiliar with placing a wager
Sure.
on a sporting event.
That's true.
And so, he brought a great deal of veritas is the
Yeah,
word,
that's
cinema
right.
veritas. Both he and Charlie, looked at the dialogue and went, "Yeah, that's right."
That's like writing a procedural and having a doctor read the technical stuff that the actors like, I don't know what half these words mean. They knew what every
They
word
knew what
meant.
everything meant. They understood completely, the trying to dig out of a hole, and
First half under the total,
Yeah.
all that, you name it.
all the jargon was completely understood by both men, and that made it just even funnier.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I hope you let Ray keep that that children's bike after that scene. But thank you so much both for your time. I'm excited for everybody to see this season of Bookie.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.